So hey guys, welcome back to Menon-Thoughts. This is our video number 4. So today's topic, we'll be talking about upskilling, or in other words, staying relevant in the industry. I believe that every software professional over a period of time faces this issue on what to upskill on, how to upskill on. I had faced this in the 25 years that I have been in the industry, right? So in this video, I'm going to try and share my thoughts with you guys, which can help you in upskilling and picking up the right things as you grow in the industry. The reason why I'm doing this is because if we do not upskill, I believe that you fall behind, right? That's a reality that every developer has to go through in their career. But here is the catch, right? I mean, I had seen this as I was going through my career and as I was trying to upskill, and I had seen my team members trying to upskill. I had seen that most of the people actually get it wrong and they get upskilled, but they get upskilled in the wrong tech sometimes. Sometimes they are not able to really upskill themselves, right? So in this video, I will try sharing with you guys how to upskill effectively and also the tech trends that are there in the industry in 2025, and most importantly, which I believe is the critical part of upskilling, how to match the right technology tool set with the right domain. So you will understand that as we get through this video, why this matching between tools and domains is very critical, right? So let's dive deep into this and learn how to upskill ourselves. So why upskilling is essential, right? When I started out, we were building Windows apps in VB and C++, and then I started building applications in COBOL. As a matter of fact, when I started off, I was building applications in Clipper and database, and then my first upskill, if you may, was into COBOL in an organization where there were 200 plus people, and I was one of them, and I was picked up purely because of my logical skill sets, not because of my COBOL skill sets. And I had to learn COBOL. That was my first upskill. During that organization, when I was working in that organization, I then had to learn VB, and then I had to learn C++, and then I had to grow in that organization, and even Java, right? So in that organization, when I was growing as a professional, I stick to a domain which is basically financial management system, and I think pretty much in that organization for 4-5 years I was working on financial management system, and then towards the end of it I moved from that to healthcare applications for the government of some European governments like Bulgarian government and some others. And then eventually I moved on to the hospitality division, which is basically a software for property management in the hotel industry. By the time I reached to that, we were working in Java, right? So that organization, I worked for 8 years. So you can see from that particular 8 year time frame, I started off as a COBOL developer, and then I had to learn VB and C++ and then Java, right? Because I had to go with the trend of that particular organization. One, two, what was the trend going on in the industry, right? There were a lot of people who joined with me in that organization. At that time, it was a small organization which suddenly grew, right? I mean, so it had 20 people, and then suddenly it boomed up to 300, 400 people organization. And there were a lot of guys who joined with me. Quite a few remained. Others, either they dropped out or they moved on to other organizations, or whatever, right? So that relevance is what I wanted to talk about, right? If you want to grow in the industry, right? It's not that I didn't try in other companies at that time, but when I went to some other company, they didn't have COBOL projects. By the time their organization had moved on to C++ or VB, by the time I upskilled on VB and C++, and when further interviews, by the time the industry had moved to Java, right? So you see, that's the trend, what I'm talking about. So I was not upskilling right at that time. But yeah, so that is why I think we should be upskilling, right? So where do developers go wrong? So this 8 year period that I had, that was something that I think where I learned a lot, right? But let me be blunt, like learning random tools without context is a waste of time, is what I believe, right? I've seen this happening with a lot of my friends and a lot of my direct reportees. A developer building, for example, a SaaS application suddenly starts learning blockchain because one of somewhere in some site he must have heard that blockchain is the latest trending technology that is there. Someone in Fintech, for example, picks up React Native and starts learning that because a friend of his said mobile development is hot and he's getting well paid or there are more jobs. Backend developers trying to master front end frameworks to become full stack developers. It's a good thing in true terms, trying to become a full stack developer. But what happens is when you're actually doing that, you have to see whether you are going to use it or not. Just learning doesn't make sense, right? I mean, because it's again bookish, right? So this sort of, I think, leads to burnout, frustration, and then at sometimes waste of money because you go and start taking courses for this and all, right? According to me, this is the key to this. Don't just learn tools, learn where these tools belong, right? Or where these tools will be used properly, right? So if you are able to match the tech to the right domain, then probably yes, that will help you in the long run to get this upscaling right for you, right? So here are a few examples that I think works, or if I were to upskill, this is how I would do it. Again, this is not the right or the wrong way. This is how I would have done that, right? So for example, if I was working in a fintech or a banking industry as a software professional, my priorities would be security, performance, probably auditing. These are the things why I would be looking at as the primary thing to upskill on. If that is the case, I would probably looking at from a performance point of view, Java or .NET or Spring Boot or something of that sort. From a security point of view or monitoring point of view, I would look at Kafka, and I would look at how the the security mechanisms on the Java side works, tokening and all those things. Um, if I'm working in a startup which is doing SaaS, I would probably not be worried about what I just talked about. I would be probably looking at priorities as speed, iteration, cloud scale. These are things that I would be looking at. Probably I'll be looking at things like Python Fast API. I would be looking at Node.js, Next.js, Firebase. Um, why? Because I would look at something like how I can help the startup to trying to take market, right? And beat perfection. That is what I will look at. If I was upskilling within a startup or with a SaaS deployment, if I was a mobile app developer, my priorities would be user experience. I would be looking at cross-platform delivery, right? I would probably look at React Native. I would try to upskill on Flutter, Swift, uh, or even Android native application development, right? Why? One team, one code base, faster delivery. That might be the thing that I would be looking at from a mobile development upskilling point of view. If I was in probably AI/ML, I would be probably looking at data pipelines, experimentations, stacks. Probably I would be looking at Python, PyTorch, LangChain. Why? Because I would be looking at rapid prototyping and model iteration is the key there, right? The model iterations, the faster they come, the better it is. So that it can learn, right? Okay, so enterprise systems. If I was in enterprise systems, I would be looking at robustness, integration, workflow, right? These are the things that I would be looking in if I was in an enterprise system, right? Things like .NET, Java, Angular, Oracle, MySQL, right? MS SQL probably, not MySQL also, MS SQL, because it's an enterprise application. Most of the enterprise applications look at um, sort of business logics which are complex, and they look at things which are future proof, right? So in that scenario, if you look at it, that's the technologies I would be looking at it, right? So if you look at all the five that I spoke about, they were all different technology stacks, right? In the fintech, I would not go and start looking at Node.js or React Native or PyTorch or Python, right? I mean, if I was in enterprise, I would probably not look at Python. I'd probably not look at PyTorch. If I was in a mobile development, definitely not Python. I would probably look at only React, Flutter, and stuff like that. There's no standard way of doing this, right? But you have to look at what tech will help you, right? So the primary question when you're trying to upskill yourself should be that what kind of problem do you want to solve, right? In that particular domain area, right? And then choose the tool that fits your ecosystem. That's the key. The ecosystem where you are going to work in that will help you in the future, right? So I hope I made that clear, right? So you have to look at from a tech stack point of view, what is going to be really consumed by you in that particular thing or in that particular organization or the target organization that you're trying to move into or the target domain you want to move into. That are the keys on this. So what tech to upskill in 2025? Um, Now that you know the context a bit, I mean, based upon what I had suggested, here are the tech areas I recommend focusing on in 2025. Cloud and DevOps, AWS, Azure, Docker, GitHub Actions. These are few things that are there. Add on probably Circle CI, um, big bucket pipelines. These are things that you should probably upskilling yourself on. AI augmented development, I think Copilot, GPT APIs, LangChain, Python, Python Flask. These are the things that I think are very important there. Modern web technologies, if you are into web development, React, Tailwind, Flutter, these are the ones that you probably want to upskill on. APIs and backend frameworks. So I know this will come as a surprise for few. .NET 8, .NET Core specifically 8 that has come out. It is pretty good. It works as a charm in any environment, whether it is Windows, Linux, Mac. It works really good. Java, of course, it is there. But Java is something which has been there for a long time, so there is no upskilling. It is learning, relearning, whatever you want to call it, right? Fast API. Node is being used very effectively by a lot of people. So probably Node is a good bet where you would want to upskill yourself. Platform specific, if you really look at it, Apple ecosystem, mobile development, it's a big thing. Android, Jetpack, Compose, stuff like that. That's also a big thing now. And obviously, when we talk about anything in development, I think, or software development and stuff like that, I think soft skills are pretty critical, right? So you should probably look at the way you think about a design, learn about that. And if you're a senior guy, probably look at storytelling, like what I'm doing right now, trying to share your knowledge with the youngsters, mentoring people. That's upskilling, I would say. Not everybody does that. I mean, I had one of my bosses in the company when I was working in Chennai. I started mentoring people only after I met him. I'll shout out his name out here. It is KK Bavaraju. He changed the way I looked at upskilling and I looked at mentoring people. He's always passionate towards mentoring people and helping and working with youngsters specifically. Right. Okay. Yeah, I think these are the trends that you should probably be focusing on. Now, how do you upskill smartly in the current universe, if you may? Here is a system that I think works. I don't know. I mean, it's my thought. Pick one domain you care about, which you want to be focused on. Pick one real problem that you're facing in your current job or in that space of the domain that you want to pick up on. Pick one tech stack which is hot in that industry, in that particular domain, like I mentioned in the previous statements that I did. Build one small project. Ship it out to your friends to show them, right? This you have built, or your mentor, right? Ship it to them. See if you have done it right. Share it as blogs, videos, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever. You can share it with me if you want to. I can see if I can help you guys with that. If you share, the basic thing is you also get input back from developers, other developers, so it is easier. One additional thing probably I want to add in here is probably work on open source projects, right? It might help you in getting a bit more knowledge, right? And the tech stack and all those things, right? Probably in a way, I would say is if you have to spend time on this, if you want to really upskill, so the best way is basically probably 30 minutes focus for 6 months, or um, spending 30 minutes every day on your upskilling tasks, right? Um, Trust me, it is greater than a week of crash course that you would probably want to do. So, as a closing note, right? um, this is my opinion. After 25 years in the industry, I had to reinvent myself multiple times. When I started off, there were desktop applications running on Windows. At that time, I thought that's the biggest thing. When I used to work with a Windows machine in my uncle's office, um, then as I got into the professional side, as I mentioned, started working on Linux with COBOL, which were sort of enterprise applications at that time. Then bigger applications, which were real robust enterprise applications in Java, which ran in a country, right? The whole country was connected. Then worked with some of the biggest names in the industry, where biggest names as in the companies which were automating at that time, Walt Disney Worlds, some big hospitals like Memorial Hermann and all that stuff, right? Um, Learned how to build on web applications, uh, coming back from Linux to Windows, back and learning how to do web. And I thought, yeah, I've got a good hold of it. Mobile development came in with iPhones coming in and all. So I learned Angular, I learned React, Flutter, React Native, and I was doing all these things. Obviously, I had to learn cloud. These days, I am learning AI. Um, so what helped me wasn't just learning new tools. It was learning how to learn with a purpose, right? I mean, so example, when I started learning Angular, I was doing a startup of my own with one of my friends. We picked Angular JS at that time for development because that was the right thing to do. Because we're a startup, we wanted to move fast. But the backend we kept it in .NET. Probably the right decision, wrong decision, I don't know, because at that time we were doing the startup. Probably on the hindsight now I look at it, probably Node would have been a better option, right? But that's exactly what I was trying to point out. I work with a company called Fresh Prince where there were just 20 people. I think there were 50, 60 people, but all the developers were 20-year-old, right? 20, 25 years, youngsters. They they had much more knowledge when I joined in about tech, uh, the latest trending techs like Angular, I think 13 and all that stuff, and the backend Node.js and all. So I had to reinvent myself there, working with them. Not I couldn't keep up the pace. I mean, I was there with them for 1 year, right? Nowadays, I'm working as an architect, learning, relearning things, upskilling myself, right? Uh, so, few things, if you may, two primary things that I would want to point out is don't upskill reactively, upskill intentionally, right? You probably want to upskill because you want to move into that domain. Don't upskill just because somebody told you that this is what is the latest trends. And don't ask this question. I mean, lot of youngsters do this. what is the hot topic right now. Let me upskill on that. Ask what problem you want to solve, right? Um, that mindset has carried me for decades, not just for the next job. You know, it is about being relevant in the tech industry, right? So, yeah, thanks for watching this uh, this video. If you have stayed till here, I believe you must have got some value from all that I spoke about. As I mentioned up above, if you guys want any help on the tech side, probably sharing your upskilling tech projects, do put a comment below. Um, and it would be interesting if you guys can put a comment below, whoever is saying what you guys are learning right now, right? And do subscribe to the channel, right? It helps motivating us and then going ahead with creating more videos like this. So yeah, so this particular channel, as I had, just to give a backdrop of it again, this will now be sort of a combination of blending tech mentorship, product insights, and obviously because I started this channel after losing my daughter 2 months back, right? Now it is 2 months and few days. It will also have some essence of life lessons that I am learning, relearning, I would say. In the last few months, we have been relearning it, and I'm still learning every day, right? So, so it will be a combination of tech side, and it will be a combination of the relearning or rebuilding that we as a family are doing right now. Tech side would be more from my side, right? Okay, yeah. Now, closing note: stay curious, stay relevant, stay grounded. The first two are more technology oriented. Last one is more emotional oriented at this point. Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you again for watching. See you in the next video.